All right, folks, welcome to another edition of XenTegra's Webinar Wednesday. This week, I got one of my favorite guests that I always have on, my friends from Liquidware. And we're going to be talking about a really cool integration between Liquidware and ServiceNow. And I'm very excited because it was a collaborative effort between XenTegra and Liquidware. So my name is Pete Downing. Thanks for those who are returning this week. For those who don't know me, I'm the CMTO and host of the Webinar Wednesdays via XenTegra. I got a great panel of guests, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves this week. On the call, I got Chris Walker, and yes, he's mysterious. He didn't have a photo on his LinkedIn, but this little widget here. So, Chris, give yourself a quick intro.
Yep, I've been using that. I actually came up with CompuServe 20 years ago. So anybody, depending on how old you are, remember CompuServe. That's been my icon for all of my social media and everything. But yeah, I'm Chris Walker, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Been with Liquidware about 9 years now. I'm a pre-sales engineer. I'm my subject matter expert for Stratusphere, so I deal with all of our largest customers and keeping everybody up and running with Citrix, VMware, Azure, Amazon, all the different platforms. So that's kind of me.
Cool. Also on the phone, I got Jason, longtime friend in the industry. Jason, give yourself a quick intro.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having us on your webinar series. We're always excited to get on with XenTegra because you guys have such a voice in the community. I'm Jason E. Smith, and I lead marketing for the product side of Liquidware. Glad to be on here.
And thanks for joining us. And then finally, Mark, give yourself a quick intro. Mark, I feel like you and I talk like every day.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm Mark Jones. I'm the Southeast manager, both for the sales and the channel side. I am Pete's channel manager. That's why we talk a lot. Been here almost as long as Chris. Chris and I have been working side by side for almost 9 years. Through the Southeast. Chris, as he said, he is also the content guy for Stratusphere nationally for us as well. So anything you guys need from my side, I'm the guy.
All right. Now, also, I have two other gentlemen on the slide here. They couldn't join us today, but I want to give a shout out. So Randy Price is one of our sales engineers in EEC Guru, but he's also one of the experts here at XenTegra on Liquidware. I'll explain why in a second, why I'm calling him out. And then finally, Stephen Connolly, who couldn't join us today, was one of the folks who contributed to a lot of the integration we're going to discuss today. So I'm very excited about the integration we're going to talk about. So we got a great event tomorrow. XenTegra and Liquidware partnered, and we do a great 3-hour event that's focused on Flex App and a little bit of Flex Profile, but mainly Flex App to highlight the power of app layering on top of Azure in your EUC environments, et cetera. And that's gonna be run tomorrow afternoon by Randy Price. And if you have time, I definitely recommend joining it. Randy is not only smart around the Liquidware side of the house, but he also knows all the app layering technologies. So if you head over to events.xentegra.com, you can see the event listing there tomorrow. Definitely register if you have time. You might get an email from me tomorrow morning, so be ready and definitely register. And it's definitely worth the 2-hour, 3-hour time slot. And Randy's a great guy, as well as Mark and team as well. All right, so we are on Webinar Wednesdays or Webinar Wednesdays via GoToMeeting. As those who join every week, we got the Q&A dialogue. We encourage questions. I pay attention to them, and I'll throw them out there when I see fit, because obviously we want to make sure your question gets answered. For any reason we can't answer your question, it does get recorded, so definitely ask questions. We definitely encourage questions. As you know, the agenda is pretty simple. We just do a quick round of polls because I love data, and then I hand the mic over to the vendor and let them do their thing. So it's all about Liquidware today, and we're gonna have a little fun. If you haven't already, head over to podcast.xentegra.com. We have a lot of great podcasts. We got 3 now. We got the Citrix session on the horizon, which is focused on VMware, and then finally we got WVD Monthly, which we're about to post a new one in the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for those. If you like these Webinar Wednesdays and want to keep coming, we do them every week at 11 o'clock, although I'm going to be doing a survey, so keep an eye out for that. Maybe I'll change it next year, so you guys can have input on when I hold Webinar Wednesdays, what time, lunchtime, 1 o'clock. So I'm going to try to work with you all to get some good input. Webinars.XenTegra.com. So definitely head over there and register for some of the upcoming webinars. We have a lot of great vendors coming up in the rest of October, November, and December. And December is going to be fun because it's going to be yearly recaps. And I got some great guests coming up, so keep an eye out for that. Yes, you can earn Grubhub credits. I like to call this out. Hey, be nice. All right, that's all I'm going to say. If we ask for your business email, we have to. I mean, that's the way it works. We want to make sure you're real and you're not getting, you're not just trying to get a free lunch. And, unfortunately, yes, you got to be in the IT realm. So Megan, she's just doing her job, and, just be nice. Megan's really nice. So I promise. But that said, we're also doing a giveaway in October, and we're giving away an LG Gram laptop as well as some other cool swag. So the more webinars you attend, the more chances you get to get this awesome laptop. Next month, I'm giving away something cool, so keep an eye out for that. So I am going to do a giveaway each month this quarter. And then finally, Bronco.XenTegra.com. We are giving away a Ford Bronco next year. Now, I'm not just giving away. You got to meet some requirements. I'll talk about those requirements later on today when we do the NCAP. All right, so my favorite part of the segment, I'm going to do some polling. I got some fun Q&A for you guys to get you all involved and help Chris and team get some good anecdotes for the webinar later. So first off, my enterprise is using Liquidware today, and it can be any product. I know that, there's a couple products, but just curious, how many Liquidware customers do we have on the phone today? Now, again, these polls are anonymous. I can't see the data. The respondents can't see your name or your information, so totally anonymous. So please take a minute to answer the poll. I like to try to get at least 60%, 70% respondents. And that way we have some good data snippets as we go through the day today. All right, so last call for clicks, going once, twice, and final call. All right, so a lot of new targets, Jason and Mark. So let's make sure we educate everybody on the phone today. I'm excited. So you guys are in for a treat. Liquidware is one of my favorite stacks in our partner portfolio. All right, my enterprise is using ServiceNow today. So I kept it pretty vague. Yes, you are, or no, you're not. I know there's a lot of cool other vendors out there. The goal of this is just to understand the overall population of ServiceNow customers. So take a minute to click yes or no, and this will help Chris and team understand, hey, what's our addressable market? And last call for clicks, going once, twice, and final call. And done. So we got a good chunk of customers, but a lot of no's. So interesting. I'd love to dig deeper on that, maybe post session on what are you using for ITSM and help desk. All right, my enterprise has 100% insight into all the end user machines deployed, and you'll see why I'm asking this later on today. So do you already have an inventory and asset management tool? I'm not talking about software asset management. I'm talking about inventory asset management. And it's funny because my career actually started back in the days of Altiris, way back when. And those vendors all seem to go to the wayside. I think the only one I know of that's still standing is Landesk. And I used to compete and know how to install that. And then obviously SCCM and all that, but it's just interesting. So anyway, last call for clicks. Going once, twice, and final call. All right, and I asked this question, and Chris and Jason, I hope you see why I asked this question, but I was looking at your dashboards and noticed that was one of the things you focus on is assets and centralizing the data into ServiceNow. So that's why I kind of put that out there. All right, let's talk about remote work. All right, and just my enterprise has a remote worker strategy for the foreseeable future. So pick your best option. If you're not the main decision maker, I get it, but yeah, just pick your best option based on your knowledge of your company. This is a fun anecdote for me just because I'm curious, but this also plays into some of the data that we'll talk about today. And I'm going to ask some questions that will play into this. So we'll give this a couple more seconds. And going once, Going twice, and last call for clicks. And we got a lot in the up, it's a pretty even spread between yes, a good chunk of your employees, kind of a medium chunk and a large chunk, and a few no's. So it's interesting. It's funny. I would take a wild guess if you're in the no, you're like in healthcare, you're in retail, something that's needed, right? All right, what is the biggest complaint from your end users when they're using a cloud hosted session? So if they're using like VDI, or they're using Citrix, an app inside of Citrix, or they're using RDS, or they're using WVD, what is their biggest complaint? And this will make sense why I'm asking this too, because Liquidware can help solve these issues pretty quickly. And then you couple it with ServiceNow, it can enable your help desk to solve these issues even faster. So SLA, as we all know, is big, right? And NPS score is big. I don't know if your enterprises keep track of NPS, but I'm learning very quickly that NPS is very big now, becoming bigger and bigger in enterprises. All right, so I'm going to give this final call for clicks. And it's funny, I always laugh at this, but response time is too slow. And I keep it vague on purpose because Liquidware can show you where and why the response time is slow. Right, Chris? Keep me honest here.
That's right. Yep.
All right, two more. When using video collaboration tools, are you using them inside the virtual desktop or outside? And this is more of a curiosity question because, when you're using it inside of VDI, there is impact, and Liquidware can show you that impact. When you're using it outside the VDI, we can talk about the impact as well, but it's gonna play into the performance, LAN performance, WAN performance, all that stuff. So. All right, last call for clicks, going once, twice, and final call. So a good chunk of you use your VoIP app, so whether it's Teams, Zoom, etc., inside the VDI. Now a little snippet here. If you guys are having a heck of a time doing that, let us know. I have a great solution for you, and it doesn't include GPUs, by the way. It could be GPU based, it could not be, but that's an area that XenTegra is taking a big focus on just because of this whole remote work strategy. All right, final question. My help desk can solve end user experience issues within a reasonable SLA. So if I call the help desk and say, my cloud session stinks, and maybe use another word, how fast can my help desk solve that problem, right? And I think even if you say yes to this, I bet you it still doesn't solve the problem. And that's why I asked this question, because I know Liquidware is going to be able to show this and give you cool dashboards within ServiceNow to address the issues quickly. So we'll give this another couple seconds. Going once, twice, and last call. So almost even split here, but I would venture to guess, even if you said yes, do they really solve the issue? And that's what I'm trying to get to, is do they solve the issue? So if I call and say my response time is slow, if they reboot it, yeah, that might solve it for the next day or 2 days, but it's still going to get to that point again. And that's kind of where I want to head with this question. All right, so that's the polls. Thanks for playing. A lot of polls this week. I got a little creative. All right, so if you're not following Liquidware or XenTegra on social media, please do. All our webinars are recorded and they eventually end up on our YouTube channel and other places. So definitely check out our social media. All right, so we are going to dive in and talk about ServiceNow and Liquidware. But before we do, I'm going to pull in my friend Jason to just give the quick high level on the history of Liquidware, like elevator pitch, Jason. Like who is Liquidware? Where did you guys start, and what's the big areas of focus for you guys?
Thanks, Pete. And just glad to see that it's a lot of people on today, and there's going to be a lot of information today. So appreciate your attention. We see those numbers just continuing to climb for the attendees, and we love audience participation at any time as Pete's got the polls going. But you can also submit questions at any time. We'd be glad to take those and take this webinar in a little bit of different direction if it goes that way. But today, talking about some of the latest things we're doing with ServiceNow, a little bit about Liquidware. We've been around since 2009, and the technologies that we sell, that we offer, that we give as solutions to the community is They have been around actually a little longer than that, and they date back several years longer than that. Liquidware acquired two technologies that had been around, one for Stratusphere to help you with your monitoring and diagnostics, especially for virtual desktop environments, but it works across any type of desktop, really, virtual, cloud, or physical. And you can use it to assess for your desktops. You can also use it to diagnose, as Pete has mentioned a few times, diagnose and to scale your virtual desktop environment. It's difficult to see once you go to a virtual desktop environment where the performance bottlenecks may be. No longer can you look at just one individual PC and the processor on there, and Stratusphere gives you a broader spectrum. You think about a really wide windshield, you can see more left to right and more up and down than you can with any other monitoring and diagnostic solution in the market. And then you can drill down to exactly what might be the root cause of your performance issues. And it's easy to read our reports. You'll see some of these from Chris Walker. Literally green, things are on track. Yellow, things are maybe about to go off the rails. And red, you can hone in on exactly what's the showstopper and bottlenecks in your environment. And then you can drill deeper and deeper until you correct and right size to correct the cause of what's causing the bottleneck. That's Stratusphere. And then Profile Unity also comes into play because a lot of times you're migrating to these types of environments, and Profile Unity is far more than profiles. It unifies, Profile Unity, all parts of the user persona that matter well beyond the profile. So policy management, user authored data, where are they saving things, user rights management, elevation, all those things that go well beyond what you would think as a user profile in the Windows environment, although we provide superior user profile environment, but really unifying all other parts into there for entire user environment management, again, across any type of Windows desktop, virtual, cloud, or physical. So once you're under management with Profile Unity, your user persona will follow you from desktop to desktop, and it can have unique attributes, what we call context-aware settings, so we can know where the user's logged on to give them the resources or apps that they need unique to that environment, what time of day for compliance reasons. We can change application rights management on the fly, and we map printers and things like that, given a very dynamic environment, say a hospital or a university environment. So it really helps you keep the user productive, giving them things they need just in time when they need them in a recognizable user space, even across OS breaks from Windows 7 to all versions of Windows 10. Now we know that there's about 7 or 8 different profile versions of Windows 10. You don't have to worry about any of those. We adapt, rapidly adapt, and that's where you may have heard us with adaptive workspace management every time the user logs on. And then the next solution I want to talk about is part of Profile Unity because it's managed alongside it. It's our application delivery method. It's application attachments given as a layer called FlexApp, and it delivers an application that is not encumbered by isolation, so it reacts very native to the environment, and therefore we have a very high compatibility rate. So the whole challenge of base image management in a virtual desktop environment, such as a Citrix XenApp or XenDesktop or VMware environment, all those things go to the wayside because now you can have one good base image that encompasses the OS, for example, a few apps that everyone uses. For example, Microsoft Office would be a good one to keep in the base, although we could layer it or attach it. It's best in the base if everyone uses it, and then allow FlexApp to deliver applications at boot time, login time, or on a click to layer basis, which is a very innovative feature set in there, and no longer worry about different base images, one for the HR department, one for the accounting department, for example, one base image that'll work across everyone, and then the applications are brought in through FlexApp. So that's a little bit about our suite, and that indeed is what sets us apart from any competitor that you can think about that may have crossed your mind. No one in the market offers this adaptive workspace management suite that I spoke of that lets you manage these things outside of the Citrix silo of your desktop environment or the VMware silo of your desktop environment with individual tools. No, these solutions work across every Windows desktop. So then you can rapidly onboard different groups as needed to your virtual desktop environment. Just an example, in the event that you need to work from home next week because of some worldly event like COVID or things like that. And we helped a lot of people through that process. So we're also asked, how do your solutions integrate with industry-leading solutions such as ServiceNow? And the depth and that we provide for our monitoring and diagnostic solution is the most natural fit from that. We'll talk about that more today, and that's the subject of today, and that's Stratusphere UX, being able to have dashboards or data directly within ServiceNow. Thanks for allowing me to introduce us, Pete.
Yeah, so it's awesome, and again, if you guys are interested in digging deeper into the app side and understanding Flex Profile and Flex App, definitely join us tomorrow afternoon. We do our mini workshop with Randy Price and team on the app layering stack. So now, without further ado, I'm gonna make Chris the presenter, and he's gonna take us through the nice tour of Stratudesk or Stratusphere and the integration with ServiceNow. I mean, I'm really excited about this, Chris, and you know, hey, it's your stage and show off what you want. So I'm really excited, and thanks for joining us today.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Can you see my slide? Is it showing okay?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just kind of want to lay little groundwork here as to what is Stratusphere. You know, Jason talked about it a little bit. It's a diagnostic platform. We're using it to help our customers. You know, a lot of things have changed this year, as we're all aware of. You can watch the news. You know, we sent all our users home. Some of them stopped by the office. We threw a computer in the back of their trunk, told them to go buy a monitor. They took that computer home. What is it doing? How is it working? You know, what we call in the first mile. Here at Liquidware, we've actually termed these users out here in the field and working at their house as the first mile. So their Wi-Fi stats, their machines, what are their kids doing to that box? What kind of applications they install? Because they don't have control of that machine anymore. Stratusphere is going to give me that visibility. So we're working with a lot of our customer base to, number one, help them keep up and running. Because they built their Citrix system for people to be in the office, you know, maybe only 10, 20% of the load. Now all of a sudden, they just sent home 10,000 people. So they had to re-architect really quick. XenTegra's been really great at that, helping their customers expand and re-architect their environment because the workload changed dramatically. Last year, I did a webinar, and let me bring up that slide. And so we do a webinar at Liquidware, kind of a top 5 problems found with Stratusphere. And September 2019, user login. Hey, I need to get login faster, hardware acceleration, memory usage and paging, last boot, remote display, so my latency back to my system. This is kind of how they were ranked last year. In 2020, guess what? It changed a lot. So voice over IP calls, latency and jitter, people at home, remote display. Again, you know, that lag from me to my remote, last mile or the first mile user information, last boot, and look, login times has actually slipped all the way to number 5 because people are working from home. You know, when I was in the office, I was kind of in a captive area. I needed to get logged in and stuff like that. Now I'm working from home. It's okay if it's a 30-second login or maybe a minute login because I'll just go get some coffee. So a lot of things have changed. These webinars are recorded. They're on our website. Take a look at some of the issues that we found and how we resolved them with Stratusphere. But back to, you know, kind of what is Stratusphere. As a diagnostic platform, Stratusphere is collecting everything about that user. Every website, latency of the website, applications installed versus used, make, model, serial number, even the number of monitors installed and the make and model of the monitor, serial number of the monitor that's plugged into the device. So we're recording a lot of information that we use for diagnostics. And that's what Stratusphere UX is all about, user experience. That's what the UX stands for. So Jason Smith sitting at his house, he's connecting to our Amazon system, our Azure system, our Citrix system, our Horizon system, and I still need to know what's going on in his house from his laptop because that's a company-owned machine. So I've got agents on all those devices. I can give them a UX score, a UX user experience score on each one of those machines and determine where is he having a problem. So he calls the help desk, and the help desk in most cases is going to know about his physical machine because that's contained in my CMDB, either in ServiceNow or in Heat or Remedy ticketing systems, CA Unicenter, IBM Tivoli Tech. There's a lot of different management platforms out there for my asset management. Even SCCM. SCCM is going to give me, most of the time we run it against physical machines. Most customers don't run their SCCM or their management platforms against non-persistent machines. Because today I got machine number 12, tomorrow I get machine number 22, and the machines are alike. So most customers don't really pump that data into their ticketing platform. So Jason calls the help desk. He says, I'm having a problem. The help desk guy says, okay, which machine are you having a problem on? It's my remote. I clicked on this icon and it took me somewhere. I don't know where it's at, and my mouse is moving slow. Oh, you're probably on a virtual machine. I have no visibility into that. Can you just reboot it? Like Pete talked about, are they really resolving the issue or just masking it? When's the last time you rebooted that? Well, I disconnected last night. No. Did you reboot? Well, I disconnected. So now with Stratusphere, we can actually give that person on the ticketing system visibility into every piece of equipment and device that Jason may talk to. Because the help desk guy just said, reboot it. Well, guess what? That didn't fix the issue. That just mitigated it because the guy hadn't logged out in 5 days, so his memory was fragmented, stuff like that. But the help desk guy really didn't have any visibility into that. So with Stratusphere now, I can see make, model, serial number, everything going on with the user, the communication, even down to the applications. So like I showed in that chart a minute ago, voice over IP calls, #1 this year in 2020 because we're doing Zoom, we're doing Citrix GoToMeeting, we're doing WebEx, Teams calls, all these different Jabber, all these different voice over IP solutions. So the ability for me to be able to track the latency from that user back into Teams or wherever it may be talking to, Stratusphere has all of this data. We talk about the users. So this is actually the Stratusphere interface. This is our dashboard, so you can build some pretty nice little pretty dashboards even right in Stratusphere. We go and start looking at the the real data. So I'm looking at my user tab here, and notice I'm ranking my users based on their user experience. So Joseph On has a B- on his system. See, Mike Van Fran's got a B+. And this is the average for the day. So I could drill down into any of these metrics and pop out an inspector and say what's chewing up my CPU. So really good detail metrics on all the applications running on Joseph On's laptop. That's actually Joseph On's running a Mac at his house. So it's a Mac machine. So we do have Mac, Windows, Linux, iGel, Tenzig, Zerto, agents for all of those different platforms. I talked earlier about that first mile. So the ability I need to see, because Jason's got a laptop, he's walking around his house, and I need to know what his distance is from his access point. So how far is he actually from his access point? What is his SSID? Is he in my office? We're working with some large manufacturing facilities, and the SSID is building #1, but it's got 15 access points. So show me what is his BSID, which would be the actual MAC address of the access point that user is talking to at that point. So this is not just for at home. This is also in large buildings where we've got users walking around, hospitals, things like that. And I need to know what their signal strength, maybe even the frequency. One of my customers actually told me he's got 18,000 employees, and they mandated if you're working from home, you will use 2.4 gigahertz. You will not use 5. They basically told the users, look, 2.4 goes through walls better. You will call the help desk less. So they actually mandated, and Stratusphere can now track and show them that, hey, these people are compliant, even their encryption level. We talked about login breakdown. So the ability to actually look into my login process, line by line, every group policy, every PowerShell script, everything running in the environment, every GPO, client-side extension, how long did it take for it to run, and then very important as well, how much CPU did it take up? So this line took 2.2 seconds to run, and ate up 1.48 cores to do that. So if it ran for 30 seconds, that would be a huge chunk because it ate up half the processing power in my machine to do that login process. Very expensive. Login is one of the most intense things you do to a machine for CPU and memory and even disk I/O. We talked about, or Pete brought up the display latency. So I'm connected to my Citrix system or my Azure, or Amazon, Google, Horizon, and I need to understand my session latency, my packet loss, my compression ratios. Am I using DCR in ICA? So the ability to track not only their latency and packet loss, but also where are they coming from? Maybe I don't have an agent out there on Jason's machine because it's his personal machine. So, but I need to know his remote IP address and remote machine name because he's connecting to my Citrix environment, and I need to know if he's in the office or if he's sitting at his house. So you can get this data even without an agent on his system. This comes in handy. Like Mark Jones, a couple of years ago, we were diagnosing something on why his latency was so bad at his house. And we started graphing and looking at his transmission speeds and his latency and packet loss. And sure enough, around 10 a.m. in the morning, his kids would wake up and they would power up their computers, and all of a sudden, Mark's network would start slowing down. Then around 11, it would come back up, and we were able to trim that. Or even like around 4 o'clock, the kids would come home from school or being out, and they would, we could actually trim that and say, look, my environment is good. My Citrix, the ESX servers, the virtual machines are all good. Everything is good, but the latency to your house is going up and down during the day, and I think there's something going on at your house. We were able to track that down by just monitoring the session latency to his remote system. In the latest versions of Stratusphere, I can even do a trace route from his house. I can find out his external IP address, find out who his provider is, Comcast Business, and then we have customers pumping that into geomaps in like things like Power BI or ServiceNow or Splunk can do this as well. So they're pumping our data into other platforms and getting really good usage data about users at risk, latency information, and very nice, pretty graphs because we have a very rich API. So we're talking today. You're going to talk about the ServiceNow integration, but if you have Heat Remedy ticketing system or any of the other ticketing systems that can accept JSON or comma delimited data, you can use our API to pull in that information into pretty much any platform. Yesterday, I was talking to a customer, Tableau. He's got 20,000 users. He's got 2 Stratusphere systems, one in a secure environment, one in a not secure environment, and he needed to move all that data. So we basically hooked up with his Tableau guys, showed them the API, and now they're going to feed all of that data because Tableau is the reporting system for the company. So they're going to feed all that data into Tableau and build dashboards for the business managers because I don't want my CTO logging into my interface. Why would I have a CTO go log into Stratusphere, go to one of my dashboards when he's already in Tableau or Power BI as his native system? Stratusphere interface is designed for the engineers. Talked about latency of the application. So we use Microsoft Teams internally for internal calls, webinars with customers, things like that. And we need to be able to track what is Teams talking to, what is the latency, and more importantly, jitter. Jitter is what kills you on a voice call. So if you're on a Zoom call or a Jabber call and you hear that echo or fading out in the background or tinny call, that's jitter. Most voice systems, 100, 150 milliseconds, no big deal. But when you have jitter going up and down 5 to 10 milliseconds, that really messes with the timing of those applications. So we can track that and identify it. So here I'm showing that I have latency. Then I would use my traceroute technology to determine where's the latency actually at. So imagine a user, talking to a customer this morning, large school system, and somebody in building number 1 is trying to do a Teams call. They're having a problem. We were able to traceroute it through the network and actually show the networking team it's this particular hop in the network. So from 8 to 10, this hop is 5 milliseconds. From 10 to 2, it's 80 milliseconds. So we actually were able to identify the individual hop inside the system that caused the issue. So as you can see, Stratusphere's got a huge amount of data to be able to diagnose everything about the system, virtual, physical, cloud machines. We don't care. And what we've done working with XenTegra is we've actually built, and Stephen Conley, one of their developers, helped me build the ServiceNow application integration kit, which just timed out on me. So this is my ServiceNow development system. And Stephen and I built a application, which we're almost finished with certification from ServiceNow. This allows me to aggregate multiple Stratusphere systems into a single interface. So allowing me to have, maybe a Stratusphere system, East Coast, West Coast, Germany, Australia, wherever I need to put my Stratusphere systems, and then feed all that data into ServiceNow, specifically for my ITSM, my ticketing people. So when Jason calls up, they need to be able to go into incident management. They need to type in Jason E. Smith and find his machine, TL. And let me pull this up real quick. So with the ServiceNow Integration Kit, it's basically providing you with connectivity to Stratusphere from ServiceNow. It's also pumping in machine inventory. This data is actually in ServiceNow. Make, model, serial number, last time the machine was booted. I talked to a customer just a couple days ago about this application. And he's like, you know what, hey, Chris, we already have this data from SCCM, but I don't have that. I said, well, cool. My inexpensive little module here that plugs into ServiceNow, and he can wire this one field up into his CMDB and give his users, his help desk people a lot more information. When's the last time you rebooted? Well, I close the lid on it every night. That's not a reboot. But I close the lid on it every night. It's not a reboot. So this gives the users actually on the help desk the ability to peer into that machine, and through the SQL calls and other things like that, they can pull in pretty much any metric they want to into the Stratus or into ServiceNow and into their instance. Now I've done this as well with Splunk. I've done it with Heat, with Remedy. At the end of the day, they're a CMDB and they're feeding information. They can all accept an API. So let me show you another example of a dashboard that I built. So one of our customers wanted a work from home dashboard. How many users are logged in? How many open problems? What is their voice over IP latency and jitter? Just a score. What is their high VDI users with high VDI latency? Okay, so I got 94 people on the system. Only 2 are at a red threshold. So this is a dashboard that I built inside of ServiceNow just to kind of show off the integration of some of the different metrics. This ticketing information, that's normal incident management in ServiceNow. But the number of users logged in, ServiceNow doesn't know that. SCCM doesn't know that. Now, I could pull that from Horizon or from Citrix, but instead of pulling it from multiple locations, I pull it from Stratusphere, and Stratusphere shows me all the users, and then we correlate that data in the asset ticketing system. So big shout out to XenTegra for helping me to write the ServiceNow integration. It took us many months to get this approved, but this is finally in the final phases of getting approved with ServiceNow and listed onto the ServiceNow store.
And Chris, there's other monitoring solutions that have done something with ServiceNow, but this is different. Can you tell us why it's different?
Yeah, you stole the question right out of my mouth, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we were analyzing this market, ServiceNow is like the top ticketing system in the world right now and growing like crazy. When we started analyzing the different plugins from some of our competitors and things like that, they weren't actually bringing the data into ServiceNow. They were building what's called like an iframe. So I click on this button, it then opens up an interface right inside the window, and it was interfacing. There was no real true integration. It was truly an iframe that they had embedded in ServiceNow. So then they would have to take a screenshot, paste it into the incident ticket. This is true integration. this data, when I look at this machine inventory, this is actually stored in a ServiceNow table. So when I click on this, this isn't reading it from Stratusphere. This is actually stored in ServiceNow tables. So yeah, good question. Any other questions or thoughts on any?
Yeah, so Chris, let's just kind of talk to kind of like a help desk scenario. So, let's say hypothetically, I call in and I'm like, man, Chris, my response time's slow. I don't know what's going on. Can you help me? What action would you take kind of starting in ServiceNow, and what's the kind of the power of the integration?
Yep. So here, this is a Stratusphere web page. So first thing, just native out of the box, you can build a dashboard. So I could type in the machine name, and this dashboard would drill down on that user and that machine name. And this is kind of a help desk interface as well. So say I don't have it, don't have the integration, I can look at this information and it's basically put in little steps for my help desk people to use. I built one the other day for a customer. It had 17 different steps. All they do is type in the username. They were running, I think, Heat or Remedy ticketing system. So we just built them a dashboard. The help desk guy would then go and log in, type in the username, and then it would go and walk him through all the different steps. And if he's poor on one, he would tell the user, go do this. They actually put in the comments, go do this. Now, if I'm in ServiceNow, all of that data would have been available inside of my ServiceNow instance system. So the help desk guy is using a native interface, and he has all the metrics. I can see that you haven't rebooted in 7 days. I can see that you're running really hot on memory. Oh, by the way, your Google Chrome is eating up 4 gig of RAM because you have 15 tabs open. Oh, by the way, I can see you're watching a YouTube video. Oh, yeah, that was my daughter. Sorry about that. So, with all of that data integrated right into my ServiceNow, my ticketing system, now I can truly resolve the issue. I'm just not telling the guy not to reboot. I'm actually telling him, here's what's wrong. I can see that your machine is 5 years old. I'm putting in a request because your memory and your CPU utilization is at 80% all the time. So I'm actually going to put in a request to order you a brand new machine because you are a power user. So all of that data is available to the ServiceNow guy. Pete, like you talked about earlier, is the ticketing guy really fixing the problem? Or did he just tell him to reboot? Because that's the quickest way to get somebody off the phone. And 99% of the time in Windows, guess what? It's going to fix it because you rebooted the machine. The memory's not fragmented anymore. I had to shut down all of my applications. So the machine is, it's happy again. And it'll be happy for a couple more days until I need to reboot again. But I didn't actually fix the issue. So really good poll, Pete, on that one. Did they actually fix the issue or just mitigate it?
Sweet. So, Chris, anything else on your side that you want to show, or?
No, I would recommend, you guys go take a look at some of our webinars on Liquidware as well, because this top 5 problem, we actually talked about remote display, last mile, how to resolve this. So not only was this, our top 5 problems we found, but we also gave you hints and tips about how to resolve it. So that's really, to me, I'm trying to fix issues for customers. Stratusphere, you can't argue with these numbers. The networking guy says, hey, no, I got quality of service turned on. Well, guess what? No, you don't, because I'm dropping packets. You can't argue with these numbers.
Yeah.
That's it, Pete.
Cool. All right. So, if you have any questions at all, please do ask. Great demo, Chris. I love seeing all the great stuff that Liquidware is doing. Again, this is one of 2 things that Liquidware does. So if you want to check out the Flex app and Flex profiles, definitely join us tomorrow afternoon for our mini workshop that Randy Price and team run. And they go through nuts to bolts, everything Flex app inside of end user compute environments. Again, any final questions, please do ask. We'll take a look and definitely try to get an answer in before we end. But if for those who don't know who XenTegra is, we are a partner of Liquidware, but also just a partner in the community. We our top focus areas is obviously end user compute, and Citrix, VMware, and anything cloud and end user compute focused. But our biggest focus is also in helping enable the community and making sure our customer base gets the most out of all their software investments. So yes, I can not only sell you,
Well, Pete, you always forget about your development arm. Don't forget about those developers over there, because they help you with the ServiceNow integration, writing applications. Stephen Connolly and his team are pretty impressive set of guys.
Yeah, so you took the words right out of my mouth. I got something teed up. So yes, we partner with Liquidware, and not only are we partners, we treat Liquidware as a customer, because we don't look at partnership as a one-way street. We look at it as a two-way street, and we love working with the Liquidware folks. And that said, yes, we officially do have a development arm of the XenTegra shop. So if you head over to dev.xentegra.com, that's going to give you a little synopsis on some of the stuff we can do, not only around Liquidware, but also Citrix Workspace micro apps. So if you are looking to get some custom micro apps built, we have a team that does that, but also we can help you build some of the customizations into ServiceNow, tweak some of the dashboards, et cetera. And Stephen Connolly and team are great. And we have a full DevOps team that follows continuous development methodologies to ensure that you get in the best quality code and you have great insight into what is being built. So again, dev.xentegra.com, and you can check out some of the new the functionalities that we have going behind the scenes around development and integrations, and that's becoming a big thing now, especially with some of these systems that are out there, is addressing business need through integration. It's pretty cool to see. My Res days, when I was a product manager at Res, they had the automation tool, and they were really early on in the game, and then ServiceNow kind of took it to the next level with their runbook automation and workflows, and then now everybody's trying to do some sort of micro app technology, and it's really cool to see. So again, dev.xentegra.com. If you want to know more, definitely set up time with us. We can take you through the strengths that we bring to the table from a development arm. If you want to see all our partners, check out partners.xentegra.com. We have a lot of great partners and really focus on end user compute, cloud, and networking. Again, bronco.xentegra.com. How do you get into this drawing? I'm going to give a couple ways you can. The first way is very easy. We've all been here, done that. We get phone calls on the weekends. I worked in IT at one point in my life. I don't think I'll ever go back, but hey, nothing was worse than getting a call in the middle of the night or, on the weekend, and, hey, what if you could defer this to somebody else? So XenTegra has a full top to bottom managed service stack, and we are a Citrix service provider partner, as well as a VMware Cloud Verified partner and a Microsoft Gold partner. If you want to understand what is XenTegra's managed service offering, you set up a consult, and if you complete that consult, you get put into the drawing. Next, we do free micro assessments. We do everything from a networking micro assessment, an end user compute micro assessment, a Cisco / ADC micro assessment. So definitely check out our different micro assessments. You fully complete a micro assessment, you get put into the drawing. Now, one of the things I'll tell you, little asterisks here, they're not just a bunch of gibberish. I equate it to the roofing guy coming to your house and saying, hey, you need a new roof, and here's why. No, we're coming in, we're saying, you need a new roof, here's the shingles we recommend, here's the lifetime, here's some of the things you could do to help get more longevity out of your roof, etc. So we're not just going to hand you a bunch of stuff that you already know. And then finally, are you hiring? So if you're not, or you're hiring, hey, point us to your hiring manager. We have a full staffing division that can help you do staff aug, temp to hire, and full-time headcount. And Renee and team are great. I recommend at least setting up a 30-minute consult. And if you do that, you get put in the drawing. And yes, you can do all the above and get extra drawing entries. So again, set up some time to plan to go through this deeper. If you have any questions on Liquidware or getting it set up in your environment, if you want to quote, we can do that. And finally, if you want to dig in deeper and get a deeper demo, I can always get Chris and team on the phone to take you through deeper into what is Liquidware and why does it matter. And then finally, yes, we have a full services arm. We can do everything from end user compute deployments, networking deployments, and our DevOps team to come in and do custom integration. So I definitely recommend reaching out to XenTegra. So final call for questions. And we actually got a great question, Chris. So it's around the data. So there seems to be a lot of data. what kind of storage capacity is needed for an environment of approximately 7,500 employees. And I know what you're going to probably say, and I bet you're going to start off with, it depends, ...
No, I mean, I've got a pretty good estimate on that. We do have a full calculator on our website. Don't get scared because it assumes you have everything turned on, but data in our database is actually compressed. So in the PostgreSQL database, for about 7,500 users, keeping around 60 days worth of real data, you're looking at about 500 gig of data space. Then we also do roll-ups. The roll-ups are a lot smaller, than the roll-ups could be kept around for 6 months. For 7,500 users, probably about 500 gig.
Cool. All right. So again, calculator on the site. I'll try to dig it up, Davey, and send it over to you. And any final questions, please do ask. And I want to thank my panel of guests this week. Great panel as always with Chris, Jason, Mark, and shout out to Randy and Steven, even though they couldn't join us. Again, Steven helped do this integration on our XenTegra DevOps team. And if you want to get deeper into integrations, please reach out. Again, we're focused on integration with Liquidware and ServiceNow, as well as Citrix micro app customizations. All right, so final thoughts from Chris and team. Any final thoughts to throw out there? Mark, Chris, Jason, anything you want to throw out there before we exit out today?
This is Mark. I just wanted to reiterate what you said. Get in touch with XenTegra if you want a deeper dive. There's a lot to this product that can't be gone over in a short period of time. A lot of different use cases, things like that. So, get in touch with XenTegra to put a deep dive together. POCs are very simple. The actual installation of Stratusphere is about a 45-minute WebEx. And then we could actually be looking at some of your own data for your POC. So very easy to do. Just get in touch with XenTegra and we'll take care of it from there.
Cool. So so thanks to the Liquidware crew to joining me today. And again, next week, we got a great guest coming on. We got Liquid, and we're going to be talking about MSIX and how Liquid can get you to MSIX a little quicker. And by the way, they do integrate pretty well with Liquidware as well. So you definitely want to join that if you're kind of trying to figure out what the heck is MSIX and how do I get there? Because a lot of people have a lot of questions about that topic. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for joining another XenTegra Webinar Wednesdays. I'm your host, Pete Downing. And as I always say, thanks, and see you guys on the flip side.